Hello, Research Methods students. This is your professor, Kathy Mazak, and I'm recording this short video so that you can understand a little bit more about the instructions for the Research Statement and Methodology assignment, which is due in class on December 18th. Now, just like we've talked about before, you can use different methods for turning in this paper. You can email it to me, you can print it, it's up to you. And this assignment is really a preliminary draft, okay? So the idea behind this assignment is to push you to articulate your research plan to the best level that you can at this point so that I can give you feedback on that plan. Okay, so I created this document, which I'm putting in the course portal on Neo as a PDF, and it gives you some more detailed instructions, but I'm just going to walk you through what the research statement and methodology assignment is. Okay, so here you can see the basic outline of the assignment. You can vary this a little bit. You can use these things as your subheadings if it helps you, but you don't have to, and you can change them up if you need to. But this is to give you a direction. So you're going to start out with an introduction where you are going to state your research problem and your research objectives. Now, you actually articulated your research problem or a preliminary version in an earlier assignment. So I want you to go back to that assignment. Now, maybe your direction of your project has changed, and that's fine. But basically, I want you to edit that original research problem assignment into so that it reflects your current project and describe the problem that you hope that your research is going to solve. Next, your research objectives. Your research objectives are what you plan to accomplish by finding out what you're going to research. Okay, so the results of your research will lead you to having new information. What is that information going to be? The importance of the problem, which you could also think of as a justification, is you arguing in a paragraph or two for why this research is needed. Okay, why is it important for Puerto Rico, or why is it important for education? What is it going to give us that is going to solve a problem in the world? So why is it important that we spend time, excuse me, time researching the problem that you identify earlier in the research problem section? Then you're going to tell us the type of study that you're going to do, whether it's an ethnography, a case study, action research, whatever, life history, things that we've been talking about this semester. You can use anything that comes out of your our textbook as well. You can scan in there for possible types of research projects or possible methodologies and methods that you're going to use. But basically, we've been talking about all of these so far, and so you're going to explain what kind of study you're going to do and why you're going to do that type of study. Okay, so for example, maybe you choose life history because you want to get a deep understanding of a certain phenomenon. Or you're going to do action research because you want to see the results of implementing a new teaching method or technique in a classroom. All right, the second part is your research questions. So also you've already turned in your research questions to me and I've given you feedback. Okay, so now it's time to rewrite them. And remember, you can have 2 or 3 central questions or main questions and then also some sub questions. You can really organize it as you want to. But I'm going to tell you that you shouldn't really have more than 3 main questions. Okay, so don't give me 5 main questions. Try to organize them in some way, maybe by using sub questions. Okay, so you're going to have your research questions there. And then you're going to, and this is the real new part, you're going to describe your methodology. Okay, you're going to you told us up here what type of study it was going to be. Now you're really going to describe in detail what you're going to do. So first, take a paragraph or so to justify the methodology, why you decided to use this particular methodology. You're going to describe the research site and the time period. Okay, so if you're doing work in the basic level courses, then you're going to say that, you're going to say that, and you're going to describe what the basic level courses are like, what kind of students are in those courses, what are their concerns and their worries and that kind of stuff, of course applicable to your project that you're going to be addressing. All right, so explain your research site. A lot of times in the thesis, this is where we give a little history of English language teaching in Puerto Rico, but for this assignment you don't have to worry too much about that, but do give us a context. Okay, I really want you to clearly explain the context. Then you're going to talk about your sampling strategies and your participants. So then you describe, how are you going to choose your participants? Okay, so are you going to use a snowball sample? Are you going to use a convenience sample? And then tell us about what your participants are like. Okay, so if they're basic English students, tell us about their level, tell us about their confidence with English, that kind of thing. Whatever applicable to your study, explain who your participants are the best you can at this point. Then the next section is the data collection techniques or methods. So if you're going to use triangulation, and let's say you're going to have 2 or 3 different methods, you're going to do interviews, observations, and a survey. Well, you could have even a heading for each one of those things, and you're going to explain what they are and the relationship they have to each other. Okay, are all of your participants going to get a survey, and you're going to select a subset of participants for interviews, or what, however you decide to map it out, you're going to explain it there. Then you're going to discuss methods of validation. So as I kind of alluded to before, you can talk about triangulation there, whatever methods you're using to get multiple perspectives on the data, so that you have your research questions are what you're answering with your data, that you collect data that can answer those research questions. And then a paragraph about possible ethical issues and how you might address them. For example, if your study is about, if you're doing an action research study in your own 3103 classroom, then you need to talk about how you're going to, how people can become participants and how they can opt out and not be left out of your normal classroom activities, whatever. You're going to address possible ethical issues. Now, a few words of advice, and then I will let you go. So what I want you to do is I want you to think about, I want you to imagine that we really don't know anything about your project. So the biggest mistake that students make when they're writing their methodology is not saying everything clearly. And part of that is because you've been talking to me about it, and you know that I'm the person reading your assignment. So you might think, well, I don't have to explain it down to the detail because Mazak already knows what I'm going to do. No, you have to explain it as if you are explaining it to somebody in your field. So not just a random person, but somebody who knows a little bit about research and education, but has no idea what you're going to do and has no idea about your context. Okay, so you have to really think about, let's imagine your audience is actually a graduate student in a Master's of English Education program in Indiana or some other state, someplace else. Okay, you're going to need to explain enough about the context that that person understands what's going on in your study, okay, and why you're doing it the way that you choose to do it. Now, I'm sure you're going to ask me, how long does this have to be? I think that, each one of these bullets might be a paragraph or 2. So I think that this first draft should be 3 to 5 pages. And later, so what I'll do is when I get the 3 to 5 pages, you will get a grade for the assignment. And then you're also going to get feedback from me, so that this assignment paired with your literature review, both of those assignments revised, will become your final project. Okay, so the literature review assignment and this one will basically get married together and will become your final proposal, which is the big project for our course. If you have any questions, send me an email at catherine.mazak@upr.edu, and I really look forward to receiving your assignments.